We get a lot of breeze here up on the hill, and I am concerned that when the fruit trees get taller, they might just suffer from the wind. At the moment, the cover crop's doing a great job of slowing the wind, making it a lot calmer in here, but cover crop is coming to an end, and when that's gone, what's next? Planting a row of sugarcane that'll block wind coming from the east along here is my project today. I have bananas right there that will suffer from the wind. This ridge here was constructed to prevent water from cascading down the slope and saturating the soakage trench site. So there's a soakage trench about here and another soakage trench there. I think it'll be okay if I plant sugarcane up on the mound. It says it likes dry feet, so in the drain wouldn't be a good suggestion, but we'll see how we go with putting it up on the mound. I've chopped my sugarcane up. Maybe some of it's a bit small, others of it are definitely fine, so I'm willing to experiment and learn what's going to grow, and what doesn't grow, I can replace that later. I love gardening. I love learning. There's so much to learn. Well, I have learned something doing this project. I have always known that ants will always be under anything that you pick up, iron, timber that you've left on the ground. They also love living just under the ground. And when I was planting this sugarcane, it seemed every time I dug another hole, there was another ant's nest. So many ants in every spot, which actually made the job rather unpleasant because they'd climb up my gloves and under my sleeves and bite me. So that's what I learned today. Ants in the wild build homes in the wild. Anyway, I planted all my sugarcane. I planted them at 1 metre intervals. Because I'd cut some very short and some longer, I actually deliberately placed them so that the longer ones are up the first planted end, and I planted them in length order. When I had several that were about the same length, I actually planted them so that the fatter ones were planted before the thinner ones. So I'm hoping that gives us an idea of whether I would have been better to, for the smaller length, cut them leaving 2 nodes on the one length, because in a lot of cases that would have been the same length as the longer ones that I planted. Because I've done it in an order, I'll be able to see how many of what size came up. 26 metres, I guess it means I had 26 pieces. And there's the start of my windbreak. This is my windbreak. It was planted with arrowroot and sugarcane, and it's doing all right. You may remember initially when I planted it, it was only sugarcane. At that stage I had ordered the sugarcane lengths so that the fatter, longer ones were down this end and the thinner, shorter ones were down that end. The experiment was rather productive. I discovered that all the fat ones did not sprout, all of them. I believe that was because they were older stems. Some of the sections that I cut were only like 2 inches long, but they each had a node in the middle of the section. And I learned that it did not matter how long the stem was. What mattered was that the stem was young and healthy, whereas all the thin ones sprouted. As the stem got thicker, they were less productive. So I have since moved the line, I think it was out here. We had to move it in order to enable a vehicle to come around here and line up to get in the doorway with the trailer attached. So I moved the windbreak back a couple of plants. In fact, I believe it was 4 plants I moved it back, and I dispersed them along this line. So the seasons change and everything's growing well. And you can see I've alternated sugarcane and arrowroot, and it's coming up all the way along. It looks like it needs another layer of chop and drop. Well, it's coming into warm season now, and this area here near the soakage trench produces a lot of biomass, a lot of grass. It needs to be mowed every week during summer or it just gets out of hand, and it's supposed to be kept well mowed as an area that has the soakage tunnels underneath. That will be put along here to help smother some of the weeds and to keep it moist. I've watered it a few times with this dripper hose, but I don't intend to water it very often.